Well, welcome everybody to Inspired Conversations podcast show with Kim Evans. And I am so excited to present to you my guest today. For those of you who do not know me, you all know that I'm the owner to Gorgeous Integrated Health and Wellness. And I'm also coach for KME Coaching. So today we have the wonderful Dr. Kimmy. Dr. Kimmy, thank you for saying yes and your time for being on Inspired Conversations today.
Of course. This is my absolute honor and privilege. Thank you for having me as your guest.
Well, it is my honor for you saying yes and also extending this time because I know that you're very busy. Dr. Kimmy, I do have your bio here that I would love to read if you don't mind. I do want to be able to share with the world your magnificence and what you do, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Oh my God, I feel sometimes that we just don't give each other enough accolades and roses. And actually, roses are due to a lot of the things that you have done in the transformation that you've made in other doctors' lives. And we got a juicy show to get into that. But, you know,
yes.
I always like to do one thing, Dr. Kimmy, and I hope you don't mind. I'd love to just send a blessing out to the audience. Is that okay with you?
100%.
All right, everybody.
Absolutely.
You guys know how I do this. We want to invite the Holy One in this show. So, God, we just thank you. Just reign in the show right now. First of all, we give you honor, glory for your omnipotent, for your power, for your being. And God, we just say thank you for keeping all of us in the hollow of your hand. God, we just want to just thank Dr. Kimmy for lending her time and her voice today on this podcast show. And we want to just say, God, continue to bless her mission and what she's doing in elevating other Black women doctors. And God, we want to just say, as far as the East, as far as the North, as far as the West, as far as the East, as far as the South, that everyone that is listening to this show that can pick up a nugget or two and be transformed, motivated, they can be elevated, and they can learn something new from Dr. Kimmy or from myself. And God, thank you for my voice, because without you, I am nothing. And thank you for giving me the blueprint to this show. All right. Thank you, Dr. Kimmy. Let's get to it.
All right.
Okay. So I am going to share a little bit about Dr. Kimmy. She is a double board certified pediatric hospitalist and CEO of the Doctor Coach School. I can't wait to get into that. I mean, we could do a whole show on that. Oh, this is so fast. Okay. She built her first business as a procrastination coach, helping professional women break the cycle of self-sabotage so that they could level up their lives after she was able to push through procrastination herself. That's amazing, Dr. Kimmy. That's, you know, we all have to pull ourselves up from our own bootstraps. And you have done that indeed. Yes. She has developed systems and processes to overcome her own overwhelm. She has built a multiple six-figure coaching business from scratch. She's going to share with us how she did that. And over time, other women doctors wanted to know her process to creating a profitable coaching business. Dr. Kimmy then began helping other women doctors master their messaging and how to sell. And what I love about you, Dr. Kimmy, you are the doctor of sales. You have learned
I love it.
Doctor of sales. We're going to talk about that too. I'm going to talk about that. She has been able to help several of her clients develop thriving coaching businesses and sell high ticket, high impact coaching offers. The quickest path to success is high ticket offers. And we're going to end with that. This has led to the creation of the Dr. Coach School. I can't wait how you tell us how you come up with that name. But let me just share with y'all a little bit more about Dr. Kimmy. The DCS is for doctors who want to learn the mindset, the belief set, and strategies to build a thriving coaching business that is rooted in purpose. In the DCS, Dr. Kimmy walks her clients through her preparatory framework, which is guaranteed to get results. Dr. Kimmy, take it away.
Well, thank you again for having me, Kim. It's like I said, an honor to be here. Where should I start? Where do you want me to begin?
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. I want to know. We talked about the procrastination. Give us the fast version. What was what was the pivotal moment that got you from off of the floor to moving past procrastination? That was your first level. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about what that was, where you were there, and then how you got to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was back in 2015, 2016, and 2017. That's when all of this occurred. I was pregnant with my second child. I was working at the institution that I always wanted to work for, the local medical school that's very prestigious. And I had an amazing career. So, like, on the surface, my life was great. I was married to a great man. My son is, healthy and wonderful. I'm pregnant with my second child. Everything's great, but I was a procrastinating hot mess. And I would have told you at that time I had imposter syndrome. I don't use that terminology necessarily anymore. But that's how I framed it at the time. And my imposter syndrome really manifested as procrastination. So it doesn't matter what I was working on, Kim, I was going to turn it in at the last possible second. And it was just my lack of belief in myself and my ability to achieve that really held me back. So this all culminated in my mother becoming ill. My mom was a single mom. She became ill in 2016, and that illness lasted until the summer of 2017 when she unfortunately passed away. And it was at that moment that I had that pivotal shift. So this is the moment I kind of describe all the time, where I was in her home, in her living room, trying to decide what to keep and what to throw away, as we often do after someone has passed away. And I noticed a manila envelope on the floor, and I picked it up and I started leafing through it, and I recognized my mom's handwriting, and I was like, what is this? I don't understand what this document is. And as I was reading it, like, the realization kind of hit me like a ton of bricks what this was. And what it was she had written a book by hand more than 20 years prior to her
Mm,
death that she never told anyone about. She never told me, my brother, her siblings, or anyone. And so I just remember sitting in the living room and kind of crying out to God and just being so distraught, but also feeling the shift inside of me of, I don't want to die with my story being unwritten. I don't want to die with, not fully executing the purpose that God has given me. I don't want to leave this earth with my intellectual property
mm,
inside of me that could benefit other people. So I remember that day just kind of saying, I like, Lord, I'm committing that I will walk fully in my purpose. And I didn't exactly know what that meant or how to do it. And it was a long, bumpy road to figuring out all of the steps, to learning how to understand why I was procrastinating, where that was coming from, and then developing the systems and processes to push through that and to really observe what was happening in my brain, give myself compassion, but then also show up for myself in a powerful way. So I did that, and my life completely changed, like
mm,
completely changed after that. The way I showed up at work changed. The way I showed up at home changed. I was no longer that quote unquote hot mess that I professed to be. I was actually getting stuff done. I was actually, there was integrity between the way my life looked on the outside and how I actually felt on the inside, because I was actually showing up for myself. I rebuilt my self trust, like all of the things. And so in 2019, I decided to, 2018, decided to start a blog where I was just sharing about my journey overcoming procrastination. That morphed into a podcast because I would drive to work and sort of record myself speaking and then transcribe that into the blog. And I was like, well, I could do that, or I could just talk into a mic once a week. And that's how my podcast was born. And then I decided at that point that I wanted to help other women also overcome procrastination. And the focus was really to help them walk in their purpose as well. Like whatever, there's something that they're putting off. There's something that they want to do that they're putting off. I want to help you actually overcome the procrastination so you can do that thing. And so that was the first iteration of my coaching business, which I started in May 1st of 2020 was when I made my first dollar. I was working full time, wife and mom. And I built my business kind of really from the ground up from there. So I was able to leave my full-time job in June of this year. So Juneteenth was my first day off, my first
I mean,
full
but
day as an entrepreneur.
Dr. Kimmy, you are a double board certified pediatric hospitalist and now the CEO of the Doctor Coach School. Who leaves the hospital? What doctors shifts out of what they're doing to become
Yeah,
a coach? That is
I know.
amazing. Tell
I
us about
know.
that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That is amazing.
So so for me, a lot of this changed. So I started my business, like I said, made my first dollar on May 1st, 2020. And then June was when George Floyd was murdered. And that was, I think we all remember what that time was like. It was horrific. I want you to take that and magnify it, because being in an academic institution with racist origins, as they all do have, really magnified the trauma that I was experiencing. So I have at the time, 10-year-old son who was looking at the news and very confused and saying, why do people want to hurt us just because of the color of our skin, right? And then I go to work and I have my work colleagues basically telling me I need to fix the system when I'm a victim of the system. So really, Kim, it was at that point that I said, you know what? I don't know how, but I know how to make money now. I just decided, I was like, I know how to make money on my own now. I had not made a lot of money at all. It was very little, but I knew how to make money.
Meaning that you didn't have to depend on organizations and structures in the outside system.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I said, if I can make $1, I can replace my salary. If I can replace my salary, I can build $1 million business. I just entered into it with that
Oh, well,
belief.
we got to hold it right there. Repeat what you just said, because see, more women across the world and across the globe need to hear what you just said. If you
Yeah.
no, repeat it. If you could what?
If I can make $1 in my business from my own brain and my own intellectual property, then I could replace my salary. I just decided that had to be true. And then if I could replace my salary, I could continue growing my business and eventually hit 1 million and multiple $1 million. I just decided that was the case. And so when I made that first dollar in my business on May 1st, and then after I saw what was happening at my institution, I made the decision that I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm going to figure out how to create a full-time income from my coaching business. And that really started a year of hustle, but like not in a good way. I was hustling from not the best place until I met, and I know we're going to talk about my coach, Courtney, because we're in the same coaching like lineage, the same coaching dynasty. So until I met Courtney, that really shifted for me. And I was able to raise my prices, start bringing in that consistent income, and then hit 6 figures shortly after that. I still had the belief that if I've made $1, I can make 100K.
So let me just take us back, so that, because I know a lot of women are they take a notes. So the pivotal moment is the shift of the procrastination after your mother had died. Then the next pivotal moment is that you got yourself up out of anxiety and overwhelm, and you just like, oh my God, I began to show up. But it was because you developed the systems and processes to move past that moment. Then your podcast was born, and that was probably a part of some of the therapy you were going through, because our podcast helped to do that. Can you share just a tad bit? What were those systems that you developed and the process that got you to the third pivotal point, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So what I learned was that I wasn't procrastinating because I was a bad person.
Yeah.
I wasn't procrastinating because something was wrong with me or I was deficient in some way. I was procrastinating because my unconscious mind was trying to protect me from failure. That's the only
Mm,
reason, right?
mm,
I would put things off and I would delay the
mm.
feeling of failure. I didn't want to fail, so I would delay doing the project because if my unconscious mind was telling me that the project could lead to failure, obviously we're going to delay it, right? So once I learned that, once I started to understand that, then I was able to say, okay, how do I rebuild that self trust that even if I do fail, I will not consider myself a failure, right?
Mhm.
Like when we fail, that doesn't mean that we're a failure, right?
Yes.
So I that was the first step. So for me, I started with something very small, and I talk about this all the time. I was a huge snoozer. I would snooze every morning. I would hit the snooze button like literally 6 to 9 times, or I would set like 6 alarms on my phone, like just 9 or 10 minutes apart. And I would wake up at the last possible second, like be rushing to get my kids to school, go to work. I was just again chronically behind, just and I started with that. And I taught myself to wake up. And part of the system I used was Mel Robbins' 5 second rule.
Yes.
So she tells you to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and then wake up. What I did was I adapted that for myself to I can do hard things, which is still 5 seconds. And so I would set my alarm, I would say I can do hard things, and I would get out of bed, right? And it seems small, but that completely shifted the way I was viewing my own self. Like I was now the person who no longer broke her promise to herself every day. Because when you snooze, you're essentially breaking your first promise that you make to yourself, you're breaking it,
And Dr.
right?
Kimmy, we do love Mel Robbins. I actually know her 5 second rule, have used that too. And I pretty much ad lib mine and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just clap because it's about
Mm-hmm.
the pattern interrupt. So however
Right,
you can break the pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
right,
boom, and I clap. And it's like, and I'm shifting. It's like, okay, it's time to do the next thing.
right.
So my God, what a great process. And
Yes.
integrated.
So I started with that, and then I learned after that how to notice when I'm procrastinating, how to push through the procrastination and just get stuff done. And then also how to download what was happening in my brain and really analyze it rather than just kind of beating myself up like, oh, here I go again, procrastinating, right? I was now kind of taking a step outside of myself, looking at it and saying, like, okay, you're procrastinating. Why? What's happening? What's going on? What are you scared of? What is the worst case scenario? I developed and it's a pretty comprehensive system. I don't think we'll have the time to get into everything, but those were the initial
Yeah,
steps
it's
that
initial.
I
Yeah.
took.
Okay.
Those were the initial steps that like changed my life, changed my entire outlook on what was
It sounds like
possible
it
for
sounds like
me.
it changed your whole trajectory because that's what
Absolutely.
got you into where you got to the next step. And that was
Yes.
then, okay, now I'm ready for a coach. And I'm assuming, tell us how your next step on how what led you to the creation of the Dr. Coach School.
So my initial coaching program was called Procrastination to Purpose because I was helping women overcome procrastination. So I did that really all of 2020 and most of 2020, like half of 2021. Um, as I was helping women overcome procrastination, I would then have women, and mostly they were doctors, right? But I was hesitant to say I only work with doctors back then, right? I wanted to work with professional women in general, but really the doctors were who were coming to me. They would come to me and say, "How are you building this coaching business? Like, how is it that every time you launch, you have clients? Like, what's going on? What is that about? Like, how can I do that?" Right. So then I was in sort of this tug of war between I want to help people with procrastination, but then I'm getting asked about business and business coaching. So I took on a few business coaching clients. They got amazing results. I was able to help them. And I noticed that again, I was really hanging on to, but I want to help women with procrastination. I felt like that was my thing. And it really wasn't until I met my coach Courtney that we really niched down and really honed in on how I could most effectively help my people. Because in business coaching, the business coaching that I do, we still address procrastination, right? Like that's
Absolutely.
still a
Oh
huge
yeah,
part
it's going to be
of
huge.
it. Exactly. So I was able to have more of an impact in the business coaching sense than I was in the procrastination sense, and still be able to do that work. So I changed my program at that time to, I called it Purpose to Profit. And it was really helping women, professional women, and then I narrowed it down to women doctors become coaches. And that was really until, so if you want to know where that DCS, where the Dr. Coach School came from, honestly, Kim, I thought I was, I thought my program was amazing. My clients were getting amazing results. I didn't know that DCS was going to be a thing until one day in January of this year, I got what I call a divine download, where it was just like, it was just sort of like, I know it didn't come from me because I would not have come up with that name at all.
Love the
But
name.
I just, yeah, thank you. I do too. I'm like so sold on it now. But in the beginning, I just sort of got this impression. It was like, it just literally came to me, the Dr. Coach School. And I was like, what is that? Right. So I Googled it. I was like, what's the Dr. Coach School? And then I was like, oh, that's like not a thing. That is, that my, does that mean it's my thing? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? So I tucked it away. I said, okay, this is an idea. This is something. I think there's something there, but I'm still doing my program. I'm working with my clients. I think that's a 2023 thing, right? And I told my operations manager that I was like, I got this like download of the Dr. Coach School. I don't really know what that is, but I think it's a 2023 thing, right? And I had a very challenging spring with some health issues with one of my children. And it was just a very tumultuous period in my personal life, but in my business life, things were going great. We were growing. There really were no issues. There's no reason I should have changed everything, right? Like I should not have burnt down my business and rebuilt it. But that's literally what I ended up doing in May of this year. I again got another, I think I was praying in the morning. I do my morning prayer and devotional. And I got another just impression, like another download that was
Another
like,
download. But
it's,
sometimes I think, we have to get on these roads of Tarshish or roads of Dominicus. And sometimes we get
yes,
these roads, and it's the journey that gets you to the next level. And had you not had those first pivotal moments, then you wouldn't have been able to get to where we're about to get right now. But let me just reiterate for those that are just now coming on, we're interviewing Dr. Kimmy from the Dr. Coach School, and we talked about the pivotal shifts and the first shifts that she was making in the very, very beginning, and her mother passing. And then as she shifted, as how she actually got up and she transitioned from that, and she developed the procrastination coach program that she was doing. And from that, she had another pivotal moment and she developed her podcast show. And from that, she had another pivotal moment. She developed her group coaching program. And from that, another pivotal moment. So now she's making money from her clients. And now we have the Dr. Coach School. But in
right.
addition with that, what I thought was so amazing is now you are brought together with an amazing coach. So I believe that all leaders need coaches and all coaches need coaches. So real quickly, how was that transition in terms of to help you to elevate to where you are right now?
Yeah, so that happened so initially I started looking for another coach at the end of 2020. And it was because I was down to my like last $2,000 in my business bank account. I was not making money. Like I was making money, but it wasn't going to be enough to sustain my income. And I was very frustrated and overwhelmed. And I felt like, again, I was hustling, but I really wasn't getting anywhere. I've been listening to Courtney Sanders' podcast since 2017. Her podcast like changed my life and like the way I view my relationship with God and business. Like it really changed the game for me. But I didn't know that she was selling a coaching program. So at the time, it was like January, and I saw that she started talking about a coaching program on her YouTube channel. I was like, huh, what is that? I wonder what that is, right? So I was about to join a different program. I was about to join a different program, and I reached out to her and I said, hey, I heard I'm a longtime fan. I've bought some of your courses. I saw that you're doing a group coaching program. Can you tell me more about that? And so she started telling me, and I'm like, man, this sounds amazing. But then I was telling her I was planning on joining another program, and what does she think about that? And she started telling me, why her program was unique. And basically she sold it to me. And so this was February now of 2021 when I initially started working with Courtney. And right after that, I mean, literally right after that, I raised my prices and signed my first high ticket. It wasn't my first high ticket client, but my first high ticket client, like with her, like 4 days later. And then I just kept signing them. They just
Wow.
kept coming. And I hit six
Wow.
figures. I'm no longer working with Courtney, but she is the coach that I credit with the biggest shift I've made in my
Sure.
business. She helped me make money consistently. She helped me hit six figures. She helped me leave my first job, right? So initially I left my job and transitioned to a non-clinical role, but she helped me to even have the confidence to make that initial step. And so I'm forever indebted to Courtney. I love her so much. And I'm just like so grateful that because she showed up, I
Right.
was able to show up, and now my clients are able to show up.
And I think that's fantastic because we're going to go through these, levels of faith to faith. And, coaches are there to help us to get to the next level. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
she was meant for you to be in her season. And I love that because that's similar how we became together in our dynasty. My coach is Danielle Morrell, actually, who is one of Courtney's coaches. And that's your coach. And
Yes.
we became together actually at the Turks and Caicos retreat that Danielle Morrell
Yes.
last summer. And
Yes. So good.
it was so awesome. And that's where I met you, Dr. Kimmy, and
Yes.
also Miss Courtney in person, who also will be on my show later on today.
I
And
love
it was
it.
amazing how now all these just beautiful sisters have now, professional sisters have come together. And so I
Yes.
just think that is so awesome, and continue your inspiration of coaching and helping other women to do the same. We all do need
Absolutely.
coaches to help us at
Yes.
the levels that we get through. But I have to come back to this point right here. It's so important. It's very clear that you help women doctors develop their IP and to become transformational coaches and to learn how to sell with confidence. So let's talk a bit about that. How specifically do you help other doctors?
Yes. So inside of the doctor coach school, I the biggest shift for my clients, they come in and they know they want to be a coach, right? But either they're missing the selling piece, the marketing piece, or the actual coaching piece. They don't know how exactly do I coach? How do I set up a program? How do I develop my intellectual property? Or they're thinking, I have all that, but how do I sell this program? Like, I don't know how to do a sales call. Or they're thinking, how do I market? How do I attract my people? And the thing is, inside of the Dr. Coach School, I truly believe that selling, marketing, and coaching are the exact same thing.
Mhm.
They're the
Yes.
exact same thing. It's all about helping someone to shift their beliefs and believe
Yes.
something new and then execute on that, right? So that it's all the same. And so the same principles that I teach my clients to utilize for their coaching of their clients and even their self-coaching, they're using those principles for marketing and they're using those principles for selling as well. So that's why I call it transformational coaching. I truly believe that if you don't know how to sell, you're not going to be able to coach. Like the first shift someone has to make in a coaching relationship is investing in themselves, and it's up to us as the coaches to compel them to do that. And so my intellectual property, my coaching framework really helps my clients go from novice coach to a coach that knows how to make money, a coach that knows how to call in their people, and a coach that knows how to coach, and the coach that knows how to get their clients amazing results. I believe all three of those go hand in hand.
Indeed, very well said. I want to also piggyback on what you were saying when you actually discovered that if you can make yourself your own money, then you can do it again. That you can
Mm-hmm.
actually make a six-figure business for yourself, that you didn't need outside systems to do that. And that's when you decided to say, hey, I can do this for myself and I can do it over and over and over again. Help us to understand real quickly how doctors can do that, because some doctors are thinking, hey, is this all I have working for this organization? working for in this particular type of genre of work. Some
Yeah.
years you go through all this life, all these years, school loans and time.
Hmm.
You come out and you're working for a hospital organization. I don't have to say specific names, and you think that that's all there is. And sometimes doctors don't realize that that's your profession in one sense, but you have a divine coaching inspiration over here to help someone else. And when I was listening to some of your podcasts and some of the your I think it was the 5-day challenge that you were doing, and I listened to some of the other doctors that came in there, they were coaching on things that they were not specifically doing in their
Yes.
medical practice. Dr.
Yes.
Kimmy, talk about
That's what I'm most proud about. Let me just say,
that, Dr. Kimmy, please.
that is what I'm
Yes.
most proud about, because
Yes.
the vast majority of physician coaches and physician coaching programs are going to steer you toward doing something clinically. If you're an obstetrician, gynecologist, coach on helping people overcome like painful periods, or coach on menopause. And if you're a neurologist, coach on how to avoid headaches, like those type of things. And I feel that that is a travesty. We are more than our profession. We are more than the stethoscope we wear around our neck and the white coat that we put on. We are more than that. And so
Yes.
I truly believe, I look for coaches when I'm enrolling coaches into DCS. I'm looking for coaches who have a story, who have overcome some sort of barrier in their life in some way. Because if you have overcome, if you coached yourself to lose 30 pounds, or if you coached yourself to navigate divorce and be able to co-parent with ease, if you coached whatever that thing is that you did to negotiate successfully, whatever that thing is, if you coached yourself to do that, 100% you can help someone else do that, right? But most doctors don't believe that. And my work, right, and the reason my work is so radically different is that I'm saying, no, 100% you can coach on that. Now, I just want to say, it would be easy, quote unquote, easy for me to literally just have coaches coach on medical things. We already identify with that. It would just be like a no-brainer. And I just decided to challenge the system and kind of buck the trend and say, well, why can't a double board certified pediatrician be a business coach, be a sales expert? Like, why
Yes.
not?
Yes.
Why
And
not?
you can, ladies,
Yes.
doctors, and you can.
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
it. And
So,
that's where your school comes in. And I love the fact, let's talk about magical marketing. You know, the magic behind marketing is important. And that's one of the pillars that you have in your DCS school, is to share with these doctors, because they'll come in and they'll say, well, what should I coach on? And you help them to find that. And then it's like, well, how am I going to market it? You know, how am I going to
mhm.
get it to the world? So how do you offer that to help to assist that this is your story and how we can help to get the story out to the world?
Yeah. So the way I teach it, so first of all, before we get to the messaging and marketing, because it really does flow from the first pillar of the Dr. Coach School, is selling yourself
Yes.
on yourself.
Okay.
You can't sell anything to anyone if you're not already sold on yourself, because if you are not sold on yourself, what you're going to do is you're going to attach your results to your own self-worth, and it's really going to shut you down from being bold and being powerful and being able to put your work and your ideas and thoughts into the world. So the very first thing that we do inside of DCS when you come in is I help you to use the DCS coaching tools and principles to get sold on you first, right? And then the second thing we do is I help you to sell yourself on that transformation, that thing that you've overcome. You actually have to be sold on that first before you can sell it to anyone else. That is really the key of like how I've been so successful so quickly, is really understanding at a deep level that sales is an inside job. Sales is not about them. Sales is not about, well, they don't want my stuff or they didn't see the value. Sales is an inside job first. And so when you are fully sold that your coaching program will transform someone's life, when you fully are sold on the benefits of that program, you will now be able to powerfully sell that to others. So that's the second thing we do in DCS before I even get to the messaging and the selling. But after we do get there, the biggest thing that I help my clients do is, again, first they're shifting their own beliefs about themselves and about their program, but then I teach them how to shift their audience's beliefs about the transformation. And I do that by teaching my clients how to put out transformational content. In DCS, the way I position it is that there are 4 levels to content. There is informational, right? That's the lowest levels. If you're thinking of like a pyramid, informational, right? And then there's inspirational, which is a little bit of a step up, but still not the highest level of content. There's confirmational content, which just basically says like, I'm just like you, I get you, and I understand you. And then there's transformational content. Transformational content is what we teach inside of DCS. I help my clients move from just putting information online or just putting out inspirational quotes or just saying like, hey girl, I get you, to actually helping someone shift their beliefs to the point that they're raising their hand. That is really the key in terms of helping with marketing and messaging. It's really just understanding how to get to that level of transformation. And so that's kind of how I approach content and marketing inside of DCS. And then the next step is someone raises their hand, you're selling to them. Now you're selling on a one-on-one sales call. And I have what's called the sales call prescription, where I help my clients diagnose and treat. So use the principles we use in the clinical practice to sell on a sales call. And again, it goes back to the principles of shifting beliefs. So a lot of what I've done is like, I've taken a lot of the elements from the my medical background, and I've pivoted that into my selling. And because really, being in medicine is selling. Like if someone comes in and they have a stomach ache, you have to sell to them, number one, that you are an expert, that you understand what they're going through. You have to sell to them that the diagnosis that you say it is the actual diagnosis. And then you have to sell them the treatment plan. But we just don't think of it that way. As doctors, we feel like we can't sell. And I'm like, no, you sell all the time. Let me show you how to take what you do in the clinical realm and juxtapose it with what's happening on a sales call and in the sales relationship. And that's how my clients are able to learn how to sell.
Oh my God, your program sounds like such a comprehensive program.
And that's the thing. Oh, it's a one-stop. I don't, so I kind of get a little bit fired up about this as well. I don't understand coaching, like certification programs that teach you how to coach or teach you how to become a coach, and then you pay all this money, but then you come out and you don't know how to create clients. To me, if you're leaving a school, or if you're leaving a program and you're now a coach is someone who's able to help someone go from point A to point B. If you don't know how to teach someone how to do that through your marketing and messaging and get them to the point that they are invested in themselves to buy, then I don't understand what happened inside that coaching program. So for me, because I think selling, coaching, and marketing are all the same, I have to teach all of those things, right? Because coaching is selling, and selling is coaching, and marketing it's all the same. So it is literally, you come in DCS, you leave, you're a transformational coach. You know how to sell, you know how to market, you know how to coach and help clients achieve results. So it is like a one-stop shop.
And pivot. And so let me just reiterate: information, inspiration, confirmational, and transformational are the 4 types of the pillars of content. And what your focus is to get them to the point of transformation coaching, which makes your program that more powerful.
Yes.
But I have to also say, selling, the coaching, and the marketing, yes, it's all the same. And I think I'd have to totally agree with you, because that's how I've been able to be in business as a licensed esthetician and a massage therapist, and now pivoting into a business coach as well, selling and marketing. And it's all the same. It's coaching is all the same. And if you get that, you're not really selling, you're really educating people. And what are you educating people? To get them from one point to the next through that transformation. That's what the transformation.
Exactly.
But you have to believe in it yourself, that you've been able to bring them this type of information that you can help them to get to that point. Dr. Kimmy, this is so fantastic. Impulse, results, and transformation. And we all know that the quickest path to cash, and when we're talking about building this empire, let's drop this nugget real quick on high ticket offers, because I love the fact that, or high ticket programs. I love the fact that your program is very inclusive. It does have all these different components, which will also make someone very equipped when they're done with your program. May I ask you, how long is your program when someone comes into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a 12-month container.
That's excellent. That's excellent. That's excellent. That is so excellent. And how can someone find out more information about your DCS coaching program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do is to go to my website, thedrcoachschool.com. From there, you can really get to all of my stuff. You can get to the podcast, which is the Dr. Coach School podcast, and then anything that I happen to be advertising should be on the website as well. The doors are currently closed to the Dr. Coach, or actually, I don't know. I'm not sure when this episode goes live, but we are opening the doors again on December 14th, and I'm hosting a free training on the 3 most common mistakes that women doctors make when they are selling their coaching and how to avoid them. And so you could actually just go to the drcoachschool.com/training if you want to sign up for that training. And I should just insert that I work with physicians and dentists currently. Those are the 2 groups that I serve inside of DCS. That may change in the future, but right now those are the 2 groups that I serve. So if you are a woman doctor, especially, I really serve Black women doctors and women doctors of color. So if that is you, feel free to head on over to my website and join us. Join us for the next training. I really think it will be very eye-opening and help you kind of see your business in a different way and help you kind of clean up some of the mistakes that might be keeping you from selling your high ticket offer.
Oh my God, this has just been so amazing, Dr. Kimmy. Thank you for all of this valid and very valuable information that you have shared. As
Thank
we end up your
you.
podcast, I would like to ask you a few more questions. What have you been most proud about in the last pivotal phase? I won't say it's the final because you got a lot more.
No, it's
The
always
final.
evolution.
There's
Yeah.
always the evolution. Until Jesus come back, it's always going to be an evolution.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
what so far, what has been, I got my notes here because I don't want to forget, because this is right here. This is sensational. What has been your most proud moment right now at DCS? But let me just first say this. I'm gonna drop some more nuggets because I believe, especially our African American queens. I'm gonna give you your props because people don't give us enough props enough. I have seen and read those testimonials of those doctors that have come out of your DCS school, and they have been amazing. Physicians, OBGYNs, they're from all different walks of the medical field. And my God, Dr. Kimmy, you are transforming the lives of these medical doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, so what? And we're not blowing smoke. It is what it is. It's real fact. I mean, I went through all of it, and I'm looking at all her videos because a lot of her testimonials, and she's so high tech. Dr. Kimmy, you're so high tech. Her testimonials, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. Her testimonials are in videos, and you see doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor. That's some good marketing right there too. And I'm listening to them. I'm listening to them, and it's like, wow, that's good testimony. So my question is, what have you been? What has been your most proud? What are you most proud about right now in developing this school, in the feedback that you have gotten from these doctors?
So hands down, it is the community that I've curated. Hands down, the women inside of the Dr. Coach School. I just give thanks to God because I have dreamt of curating a community where women doctors, Black women doctors, women doctors of color can come and be their entire full selves as they're building their business. And that is what we have inside of DCS. It is the way these women show up for each other, support each other, embrace new members of the community, help each other forward, call each other out and coach coach each other. I mean, it is just, that is the biggest thing that brings me so much joy, is that we don't have to be going through entrepreneurship alone. We have community, and why not do it with community? So to me, that is the biggest, the thing that I'm most proud of, and the thing that just brings me so much joy is the relationships that I feel are going to be lifelong. And you can't put a price tag on that. You can't put a price tag on those relationships. That is the biggest thing. Obviously, I rejoice every time my client signs a client, or all of that, but just the fact that we get to fail together and grow together and learn together in a community has to be the biggest thing that I'm most proud of.
I love it. Community. Second question. What do you say to your 1 million self? Because I know you've passed that threshold.
Ooh,
What did you say to your 1 million self? And what are you saying to your $6 million self?
that's so good. So I'm gonna claim that I haven't not passed a million, but like we'll
But
be
I
there in the
did.
next few months. Yes. So
Okay.
I'm gonna claim
Walk
that.
on in it. Walk on in it now. Just walk on in it.
Yes. So
Okay.
what do I
Well, how will
say
you
to my,
celebrate then? Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that's such a good question. I think the biggest thing is whenever I hit a milestone, I do really try to pause and celebrate. That doesn't necessarily mean buying myself something, but just like honor what I've done, because the biggest thing your brain will do if you don't, and this is something I teach inside of DCS, if you don't celebrate, if you don't pause to just honor what you've done, your brain will present to you that it's a fluke and I don't know how it got here and it's never going to happen again, right? So again, if you make, I said it already, if you make $1, you can make $1 million. And so celebrate each dollar, celebrate each person that you're able to change their life, celebrate each time that you show up and do something that you were scared of doing, like celebrate it all. So I think I would tell my $1 million self to keep doing that, like keep showing up for yourself, keep celebrating all of the wins. And I think to get to $6 million, I just know that it's going to look a lot different than what I have going on now, right? Like to get to where I am now, I had to burn down my entire like last programs, right? So I know things are going to shift. So it's just about, I guess, being open to the shift, being open to the change, being something I say to my clients is be committed to your purpose, but not as committed to how you get there. And so I'm just open to whatever God has in store for me. I don't know if it will look like the Dr. Coach School that it does today, but I'm open to whatever that possibility is.
I love it. And on that note, what is your next?
What is my next? My next is just doubling down. Like one of the things, if you ask me, the biggest thing that has gotten me to this point is being unrelenting, like being relentless and helping my clients achieve massive success. That I'm doubling down on that. I am doubling down on my clients. Like I have a few clients that are gonna hit 6 figures soon. When that happens, that is going to just, I don't even know what I'm gonna do, because just the fact that I was able to help someone to get to that level is just beyond. But like my next is just doing more of what I'm doing right now, just going all in on what I'm teaching in the school, just really, really going in on helping my clients get to that next level, because anytime my clients are successful, it's only going to trickle down to me as well. And so my singular focus is helping my clients get to the point that they want to get to in their business, helping them hit 6 figures, helping them replace their salary, helping them have that repeated income that comes in month after month, and them really owning their greatness, becoming thought leaders in the industry. It's just all about my clients right now. When they're winning, I'm winning. So
Well, that sounds like divine purpose, if you ask me. And Dr. Kimmy, like
100%.
that, you have found your divine purpose.
Yes.
And
I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed.
if we just go and giving him glory and allow him to just continue to just up level
100%.
you. And let me just reiterate what Dr. Kimmy does. She helps women doctors, Black women doctors, to develop their IP, become transformational coaches, and to learn how to sell with confidence. So, Dr. Kimmy, is there anything that you would like to leave with us? 3 last points that you would like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime you ask me three things, I'm always going to go to that's three. If you want to have a successful business, especially a successful coaching business, step one, get sold on yourself. Rebuild your self-trust. Like really just go all in. The relationship you have with yourself, you're going to need you in order to get to the next level. So get sold on yourself. Sell yourself on that transformation. You can change someone's life. You really truly can. And when you believe that, it will exude from you. Like when you believe that, you will now be able to show up in the marketplace and be extremely powerful in how you sell. And then the third thing is always remember that your job as a coach is to help someone go from point A to point B. So your job is not to necessarily be online spoon feeding people information or just making them feel good with inspiration. Your job is to help shift their beliefs and to help them believe enough in themselves that they are investing and believe enough in the transformation that they're investing. So sell hard. Like it's okay to sell hard. It's okay to sell. And once you're sold on yourself and you're sold on your transformation, that's when you're able to sell hard. That's when you're able to shift beliefs. And so those would be my 3 points that I would give someone.
Dr. Kimmy, I love it. And I love you.
I love you too, sister.
Get sold on yourself. Oh my God. I love that. You got to be sold on yourself because it's you who's going to carry out the journey in order to be able to help to transform other women.
100%.
Dr. Kimmy, it has been a pleasure. I love your soul.
Absolutely.
Love your spirit. And
thank you.
Lastly, I just wanted to share a lot of the women doctors were saying how they were able to conclude to choose you as a coach as opposed to other coaches was how they resonated with you. They resonated with you because of your transparency. They resonated with you on your connection, and they resonated with you on your confidence to sell, my sister.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. I love that. It's like, this is it. Look, Dr. Kimmy, and me personally meeting her. And I got a transformation too when we were talking. Oh
yes,
my gosh.
that was such a great conversation.
And when I sat in on when you were doing your presentation, and then later on when we were around the pool, it's like, oh my God, this woman is powerful. This doctor is powerful. This sister is powerful. Because one conversation shifted the whole thing, Dr. Kimmy.
Oh, so good. I feel so blessed to hear that. I'm so glad.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Kimmy. So if you guys
You're so welcome.
Get in contact with her, please listen to her podcast show. She is the host of the Dr. Coach School podcast. You guys can find her on iTunes and Spotify. Is that correct, Dr. Kimmy?
Yeah, actually, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to find it.
Okay, and I am going to leave your information in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
Dr. Kimmy, she is the CEO of the Dr. Coach School. And again, thank you, Dr. Kimmy, for being on Inspired Conversations podcast show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Such a great conversation.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I am your host of Inspired Conversations. Find me on podcasts, iTunes, everywhere. And also my website is kimmevans.com. Thank you very kindly. And thank you all. And we look forward to you listening and also sharing the podcast out. Thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Kimmy.